Hi, Cillian.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm awesome. It's so great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me today on Michelle's Conversations That Matter.
Thanks a million for having me. It's going to be a great conversation. Hopefully, we can give some value to people who are watching at the moment as well. So, yeah, it's going to be great.
I love it. I love it. I love the fact that I had the pleasure of meeting you through Clubhouse, and you are coming to us today from beautiful Ireland. So thank you and welcome to the show.
Thanks a million. Yeah, it's the weather isn't too bad here at the moment. It was kind of sunny today, so it's great to have this conversation. I suppose meeting on Clubhouse and just having the conversation around mental health that we're both really passionate about, and yeah, it's going to be great.
I love it. I love it. So just a little bit for people who don't know, a little bit about what I'm doing. I created Michelle's Conversations That Matter because I really wanted to cause more open conversation about mental health, teach some resilience to folks, have people just have a better relationship to the brain, inspire them, educate them. I have people on my show from all walks of life, people with lived mental health experience to clinicians who are educating us to really understand different types of mental illness. So I'm so thrilled to have you here and to know that you are an outspoken advocate with lived experience, and we're going to get to know you throughout our time together. Could you first off, we are going to talk about your personal story. Could you, Cillian, tell us again who you are, what you do, and whereabouts are you in Ireland?
Yeah, so thanks a million for the introduction, Michelle. I suppose I am based in County Clare in Ireland. So at the moment, I'm working in recovery education and mental health. So basically, we kind of do modules. I'm working with a service that do modules around anxiety, depression, resilience, all different kind of modules to help people in the community as well to, I suppose, give them that hope and that inspiration that recovery is possible over time. Over the last couple of years, I have been public speaking, I suppose, on my own personal story, my own lived experience. And it's just empowered me so much that I can give back to other people and share my journey that will hopefully help someone and give them that glimmer of hope and that inspiration that they can recover over time and do the things that's in their control as well in their own lives. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I went back to university this past year and I qualified as a peer support worker. So I think it's a peer support specialist in the States, I think anyway. So yeah, so that's me in a nutshell, really.
That's awesome. Is it so fulfilling to be able to give back and help someone else because you get it?
Yeah, I think it just feels not even for yourself, but you feel so empowered and you feel so much better within yourself that you're giving back and helping people even through the mental health challenges that I faced. I just want to share my story to just a wider audience because I know how beneficial it will be for someone who may be going through a difficulty around this particular time, especially with COVID-19 as well.
Yeah, let's start off by shining a light on what is the environment like there in Ireland and around mental health and mental well-being and the stigma. We have such a stigma in the US that, we are taking steps forward to remove, but give us sort of the lay of the land and how is mental health perceived in Ireland?
Yeah, I suppose it's very similar to the States. I suppose it's very similar to every other country in the world. There still is a little bit of a stigma, but I think it is getting better over time. Back when I was going through my own challenges when I was 18, 19, I didn't know much about mental health or mental health challenges. And I think not many of my friends spoke about it. And I didn't know much about depression or bipolar disorder or anything, any kind of illnesses like that. And I think it is getting better because people are becoming more outspoken. People are getting involved in more mental health charities and mental health organizations that's speaking for all of us, having a voice as well for people that are maybe afraid to open up on when they're going through difficulties. So I think there is a little bit of a stigma, but I think it is getting better over the past few years. More people are sharing their thoughts and sharing their voice really to make it better for all of us.
Are you having like high profile people in Ireland come and speak out about it? Is that helpful? And who might they be?
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of, I suppose people that I follow, high profile people are, I suppose they're the flag of opening up for all of us really and sharing that voice and letting people know that it's okay to struggle. It's okay to go have there's going to be good days and bad days throughout your life as well. It's just, I suppose, embracing the good days the best you can and doing your best on the bad days. So yeah, there is people who are, I suppose, flying the flag for all of us at the same time. And I want to be part of that as well. I want to share my story to more and more people. And it's great that we have this discussion going on today that will reach hopefully a wide audience as well.
Yeah, exactly. So would you mind sharing your personal mental health story with us, Cillian? Have us understand what that was like for you?
Yeah, of course. So I suppose it happened when I was going to university. I was going to a different town in Ireland. It was called County Galway. And at that stage, I didn't really know much about mental health. I hadn't heard anyone suffering from depression or anything like that. And I was going through, for the first few weeks of college, I was in my first manic state of bipolar disorder. And I didn't know the ins and outs of bipolar disorder. I hadn't heard anyone suffering from before. So I just continued on as normal. And for the first few weeks, I was excitable, confidence was through the roof, and I was extremely extroverted. I was going out making new friends and just living the college life. So as weeks went by, my mood began to change. I was slowly kind of delving into depression, and I have the benefit of hindsight knowing the highs and lows of bipolar disorder now.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really want to open up when I was going through depression. I wanted to be seen as not be seen as weak or anything like that. But I know it's how important it is to open up when you're going through difficulties. So through the first academic year, I went through the high of the manic state of bipolar disorder to the lows of the depression. And heading into my second academic year, it was just such a repeated cycle. I was going into my second manic state of bipolar, and my friends began to notice something. They began to see that I was racing thoughts. They could see that I was sleeping maybe 3 or 4 hours a night and just have energy to burn. And I ended up being hospitalized for a month in a psychiatric unit. And it was just a strange feeling to just be in there, but I really was in a bad place for my mindset, and it was the best place for me. And I got the best support. I got the best support from my family, my friends, the doctors, the nurses, everyone that was there helped me along the way. And that was, I suppose, the start of my recovery journey. And all the things that I did back then to get well, I still do to this day, because it's so important not to be, just because I'm well now and I'm doing really well and living a very happy and fulfilling life. I think it's important just to keep tipping away on the things that keep you well. Like I do meditation, I do journaling day-to-day, practicing gratitude. Exercise is a major part of my day as well. So that's, I suppose, a long story cut short in a couple of minutes, just to tell you. It's just a small snippet of it, really. But I think it's important for especially men to open up on struggles. And back then, I was afraid to open up. I was afraid. I just want to be seen as the macho guy, but it's a sign of strength, not weakness, to share that you're struggling, and that's a major point as well that I wanted to get across.
Yeah, I think we have a bigger problem with men. Women have no problem talking for the most part and like expressing themselves and how we feel to our girlfriends, to our mothers, to our friends, our sisters. But men typically don't feel like they have permission to acknowledge what they're dealing with. I mean, did you struggle with that in the beginning? Like, as you said, I felt like I had to be strong. Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was just, I suppose I was afraid to open up. I didn't want to be ridiculed or laughed at or anything like that just for having a mental health illness. But now I know how important it was for me back then to open up. And eventually I did. I opened up my thoughts, offloaded what was going on. And that was the start of me getting better. It was a pivotal moment for me to open up, because things got better then over time. I think definitely for anyone really who is struggling with mental health, it's so important not to bottle things up, because I suppose I bottled things up for so long and it just made things worse. And I just had a really hard time of confiding in anyone, because I just didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be seen as different, I suppose,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I know I do this myself, and I've navigated depression and I deal with seasonal depression. But I know for me that when I don't express how I'm doing or how I'm feeling to someone I care about, I just like make it 10 times worse in my head. That's what happens when we don't express it. We think that sitting in our thoughts, we're gonna think it through, and that actually makes it 10 times worse. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think so, because you can I suppose ruminate and you be constantly overthinking and thinking of the worst case scenario. But I think it's about even if you don't have anyone to talk to at a particular time, I journal a lot, and I journal my thoughts, ideas. I just do a brain dump, and over time, I think it just gets easier to do that. And you can, maybe when you're journaling, you can see a bit more clarity. But even if you have someone in your life that you can confide in, even if it's just one person, I think it's so important to have that person that you can just be there for, or they can listen to you, and just not being judgmental or anything like that as well. Or even, there's so much support, there's so much organizations or support groups out there that can help people who are going through tough times at this, especially around COVID-19 as well. Well, we're all going through, I suppose, a roller coaster of different emotions day to day.
Yeah. How are you doing now? You are someone who's successfully living with bipolar disorder.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Like I mentioned, I do all the things that have a positive effect on my overall well-being today, like just doing the exercise. I used to be a personal trainer, still do a little bit of, I suppose, training day to day. I go for daily walks, practice gratitude, meditation, all the good things that have an overall effect on my day to day. And I just love doing them because I know how good I'll feel after them.
And giving back too, like you're turning around and helping someone else reach a point where you have come. And I've seen your videos and your stuff on Instagram, and I just love it, Cillian, because you're not just giving people a raw pep talk. What you're actually doing is saying, these are the things that I do that help me feel good. So you actually give people tangible tools, and people need to follow you at Cillian Keane _ because I love what you're doing on social media. I think it's great. So is that helpful to you as well as you help others?
Yeah, definitely. I just love sharing ideas or thoughts or whatever pops into my head at a particular time that I think I hope will give some people some sort of positivity and help them along the way that recovery is possible, or even just give them tips on self-confidence, self-esteem, or motivation, or resilience, anything at all that comes into my head. I just want to share it, and hopefully down the line it will help someone, because I would hate for anyone to go through what I went through all those years ago. So I just want to give back, give that hope to someone else, and empower people along the way that they can do so much things in their own control that will help them over the long term. And it's just a compound ripple effect, really. It helps me and it helps other people at the same time,
Beautiful. I know for me, writing my memoir, giving a TED talk, sometimes I forget the impact that I can have on people. And it's in those moments when I hear from someone that, like, a chapter in my book resonated with them, or the piece in my talk resonated with them. That's so fulfilling. Do you have any of those kinds of stories where someone reached out to you and you could, and they vividly reflected back to you that you made a difference for them?
Yeah, definitely. I've shared a lot over, I suppose, social media over the last number of years, but I shared a collage photo one time on my social media, and it kind of went a bit viral. It got so much positivity and so much positive comments. I was just overwhelmed by it. So on one side, there was a photo on the left where I was in my graduation going through my struggles. On the right was a picture of me public speaking. So it was a contrast from where I was to where I was to that day. And I suppose it hit home with people, and people could see the journey that I had went through. But again, I did it because I shared that because I wanted to give that inspiration and to help people, because I just love helping people see that there's a way back from the darkness that they may face and the struggles that they may face in life as well. So, and it just made me so overwhelmed with the positivity, and it just cemented that I need to keep doing what I'm doing,
Yes, because you represent hope. I love that. And I think, especially for men, seeing other men navigate and overcome what you've overcome is hope. I mean, I think that could be the encouragement to have someone a man reach out for support, knowing that could be a reality. They could be okay on the other side if they just got support, right?
Yeah, I think getting support is the one thing, I think, but it's just having that hope within yourself that there's light at the end of the tunnel. We can do a lot for ourselves that are in our control day to day, but reaching out for all the support and doing all, like, what worked for me was the exercise, the meditation, the journaling, whatever else, but it's totally unique to each individual what will work for them. Exercise played a huge part in my life because it just made me have that feel-good factor. It built up my self-esteem, it built up my confidence in myself again. And I had lost all that back through all the struggles that I went through. So I had to kind of build it up again. And it was I suppose it's building it up all the time at the same time. Each day I do it, and it's just building on my confidence and my inner resilience all the time.
What is your biggest dream for your advocacy? So if we were to fast forward, Cillian, 5 years from now, what would be your ideal success with your advocacy work?
Yeah, I really enjoy what I'm doing at the moment. I suppose it's spreading that positive message around mental health. I'd love to do a TEDx talk eventually. It's in the pipeline, and eventually I'd love to write my own book. I have started bits and pieces of it with the content that I have on social media and Instagram. And yeah, I just want to kind of write a self-development, mental health style workbook that people could write into and be asking questions. I just don't want to share or write a book that's just my story. I want people to do actionable kind of stuff or related around what the story I have shared here, I suppose. Yeah. So yeah, a book, TEDx. I'm sure I have plenty of other goals I can't think of at the moment, but I just want to keep doing and keep spreading that message around mental health and recovery and everything else.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So some people say that because of this pandemic, we're really seeing more open conversations about mental health. Is that what you're seeing over there in Ireland as well, with people having to be quarantined? Yeah. And does that give you hope?
Yeah, I think just because we're in lockdown here in Ireland the last couple of weeks, and this is our third lockdown now. So yeah, it's difficult. I think people are definitely becoming more aware of mental health and even physical health as well, that they need to work on it day to day. And people are opening up on their own struggles and everything else, which is great. I think it's important to be able to verbalize what's going on when you're going through tough times. But there's so much kind of the work that I'm doing at the moment in recovery education is great because it's opening that conversation. It's starting the conversation around mental health and recovery and the possibility of the recovery is possible over time and all that. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing the same thing here in the States, like with more and more people, just talking about how they're doing. It's not normal for us to not be able to congregate with friends and see the people we love and be isolated. I mean, I think it's causing, the reality is CDC says 1 in 3 are dealing with, the CDC here in the US says 1 in 3 are dealing with depression or anxiety, 1 in 3. And I had interviewed a gentleman, Paul from Mental Health America, who said it's probably going to be in 2021 more like 1 in 2 are dealing with anxiety. So if it's that prevalent, we need to be talking about it. We need to be, shining a light on it so people don't suffer in silence,
Yeah, definitely. I think that's there you said. I think it's not having people suffer in silence, it's being open to the conversation and I suppose it's about being open to having that conversation. It could be a difficult conversation with someone who's going through difficulties, but it's one that needs to be said and it's better to say it than not say it at all, I think. And that's a major key point if you're going through difficulties, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Absolutely. And I think a lot of times people are uncomfortable, and because they're uncomfortable, they just sort of try to ignore it and think it'll go away. And mental health is one of those things where not addressing it actually does more harm than good because it compounds over time. So I try when I'm doing my resilience program to remind people, check in with your mental health every day, just like you would in the morning when you're scanning your body for what hurts you. I don't know, I'm 49, so stuff hurts sometimes when I wake up physically. But like if we could just do that mental reflection, like how am I today? That could help.
Yeah. It's so important. I think checking in with yourself is just asking yourself the question, how am I feeling today? Is just a valuable question to ask yourself daily. And even with I do that every day, because I know even in my journal as well, I just ask myself questions. It just prompts me to ask the question and just answer the question in my journal as well. So I think if people just get kind of doing that more so than not, it's just going to be really valuable for a positive effect on the overall well-being. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, I don't know. It's kind of hard to know. I suppose back when I was going through my struggle, I was definitely introverted, but
Yeah.
now I think I'm a bit more extroverted. I love meeting new people and very sociable. So I suppose extroverted now, but maybe in the past a bit introverted. So a mix between the two.
So how have you personally been dealing with like the lockdown and the inability to like go to a pub or go out and be with your friends? Like, how are you staying connected? What are some of the things you're doing to make sure that you're staying connected and feeding that extrovert side of you?
Yeah, it's been difficult because there has been bad days. There's been a lot of good days, but I think staying connected, I do like video calls, Zoom calls with friends.
Mhm.
Um, what else have I been doing? Just kind of checking in with friends, just texting them every couple of days, or even at the weekends when I have a bit of free time, and just checking in, seeing how they're getting on. And it's back and forth. They might do that every couple of weeks with me as well. I think we've been doing Zoom quizzes at times with my friends as well, which is kind of taken off over the lockdowns. But I think
What
it's
is that? What is a
uh,
Zoom quiz?
just a quiz. You just have a quiz over Zoom, so you just like
Really?
there'd be a quiz master and people would be asking questions and stuff like that. So it's just a normal quiz, but it's just through connection through the internet, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I just been staying connected because I know if I don't, I just want to keep that connection alive with my friends and family members and everything else. So it's really important.
Yeah, we are creatures of connection, and it seems so strange that this pandemic has forced us to be, have to figure out what to do to substitute for that connection that we all need. So in certain instances, you're like grateful that we have technology like this that
Yeah.
brings you and I together and people together, but it's definitely been a test, right?
Yeah, it's a test on the resilience. I think
Yeah.
it's just been hard some days where I think I find weekends hard because I don't have I have more free time and it's just trying to pass the time because
Yeah.
obviously we can't go, we have to stay at home and can't do much with the lockdowns. But I think there's so much you can still do in your own control that will help you, and look at the overall perspective that things will get better over time, and this will come to an end at some stage over the next couple of months. Or I think it's looking at the overall perspective that there is still good things happening despite the pandemic. I think it's looking at two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
I think,
I don't know
yeah.
about I don't know about you, Cillian, but for me, I know Clubhouse has helped my mental health immensely because of the voice connection and being able to hear other people's personalities and authenticities and just the warmth of their voices. I don't know if that's been the same for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think I haven't delved into Clubhouse as much over the last week or 2 weeks, but when I was on it, more so, I just really like just the different rooms and going into like the mental health rooms or the Instagram marketing rooms, anything at all, just to listen to other people's voices and get the conversation
Mhm.
going, or even ask a question on Clubhouse as well, or about something that's a burning issue that I may have with whatever it
Yeah.
is, Yeah.
Amazing. Well, do you have any other thoughts that you'd like to share with us? Any other words of wisdom or thoughts that you want to share?
Yeah, I suppose like with this whole pandemic, I think like I kind of mentioned earlier a couple of seconds ago, is try and do the things that make you happy in your own life day to day that will just have a compound ripple effect. I know it can be really hard at the moment with
Yeah.
being in lockdown and everything else, but try and look at maybe one or two positive things that happen in your day. If it's a bad day, maybe at the end of the day, reflect on it. Look at maybe the things that have gone well rather than the stuff that may haven't gone as well. I think looking at the positive more so is going to be really important over the next few months. It's going to be testing on our own resilience and our inner strength, but I think it's looking at the two sides, that there's still some good things that can happen and opportunities can still arise despite what's going on in the world.
I love that. Finding opportunities that bring you joy. I love that. I think that's so important. I know I'm happiest when I'm doing a hobby that I love. I'm happy when I'm exercising, like whatever it is that's your thing. I love your message. Find your thing and do it because it's going to bring you that joy and help elevate your mood.
Yeah, Definitely, definitely. It's so important because it's just going to have such a positive overall effect, physically, mentally, and everything else. I think it's just going to make sure that you stay well around this time and keep safe and just mind your mental health and well-being as well. Yeah.
Amazing. So Cillian, they can find you on Instagram on the ticker. Any other place they should look for you?
Yeah.
And are you up to anything in the future on Instagram we should know about?
Yeah, I suppose my handle is on the screen. So at Cillian Keane _. I'm on Clubhouse as well. It's the same username as well. And I suppose what I'm up to over the next while, I love, like, once kind of this current pandemic has passed, I suppose I just want to get back public speaking in a face-to-face kind of format with people, and keep sharing that message around mental health and hope and recovery and everything else. But I suppose in the short term, I just want to keep going with the Instagram and keep doing what I'm doing, because I'm really enjoying sharing the videos and getting good responses from them. So yeah, just keep going, keep
Awesome.
the motivation levels high and everything else. Yeah.
Awesome. People should definitely check out what you're offering, your tangible recommendations coming from someone with lived mental health challenges. I think it's just remarkable what you're doing. I'm so grateful to have met you. Keep doing the great work you're doing in Ireland. We will stay connected. And if I can support you, please just let me know.
Thanks, Millie. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on. Hopefully the people that tuned in can definitely take something from my story and even from my Instagram. If you will give me a follow maybe as well, you can take some action on some of the kind of tips that I've been sharing over there as well. So really appreciate it, Michelle. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Cillian. Have a great day, and we'll definitely stay in touch.